That's true.
Well, I'm going to need to put our camera in
Saturday as well.
Yeah, they'll film it as well. So maybe you better off going on that thing. You can put the sticks there now. Once he's, do you think? Yeah, or I don't know. I mean, it's certainly just in front even actually that way. But then I'm at an angle. That's it. You'll have to. I think we'll have to give priority to the pool, so you just have to squeeze in where we can.
You think he'll take his jacket off?
Hello, how are you? Pleased to meet you. Indeed. Paul, how you doing? My name's Gay, Swim Centre Manager. Oh, very good. I know. Oh my goodness, there's more involvement today than what there was last year. Indeed. That is it. Indeed. Well, let's see.
they're here, I can see where they are. Huh? Aye. Might even just go handheld this rate, you know. They'll obviously be here before, I think. Need to be. Will they bring their tripod in though beforehand? Because then it's going to be a whole hassle to get mine through for leaving at the last minute. It's there, it's just behind the ready to go. See, because the parents are here, isn't it? There, sort of, yeah. And you're going to close the door for the hubble? Well, then that might work, yeah. Might be space. Yeah. That might work. In fact, it actually might be better then because if number 10 camera's here, I'm off to the right. Yeah. Should do. So whenever people are leaving this room after this event, and they go out that door, yeah. So that door's closed whenever this starts.
We're going to keep it open at the start.
Yeah.
Just in case there's any screaming kids up in the gym.
It's the house tripod. Social media, 1.2 million just, you know. But, influencer, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting quite funny about that. Well, I was there, and I haven't moved. And then I had to take my name out. I still out of it. I can't go back in until number 10 wins here. I don't have any conceivable space. So I have to tell actually TV. So those who are paid, I wasn't here. I had to move, which is fine. It's pointless if we were to take the pay footage and then try to condense it down to social. If we're going to lose half the shop. Slightly later, looking now at around 12:50. 50, 50. Yeah.
So, but is that for his remarks and what part?
His remarks.
sleeping yet?
Nearly there.
Seven
You've got a red
years, same guy as me.
You've got a Red Bull handy.
Well, I was looking for her. Janet Kate,
Get that anymore? Where are you after this?
home.
You don't have to go to court.
Probably get a big lad.
She always sing it, Mr. Sun. And if you sing Mr. Sun, the sun will come out. Who's going to sing Mr. Sun? Who wants to sing Mr. Sun? Do you know it?
He used to be.
Well, I remember.
Do you remember? Could I use it a couple of times?
Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, hiding behind that tree. These little children are asking, please come on so we can play with you. Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me, please shine down on me, please shine down on me. Where's the checker stuff? That works. That works. Right, where do you see? We'll be out in the garden now. There was a wedding, somebody was having a wedding in here. Me and Mandy sang it, and there was about 10 of us sang it outside. And it worked. It stopped again. Yep, absolutely. Yes, of course. Okay, no. Yep. And then more soda. Not beer. So I don't know.
That's it, not the way, not way.
Okay, just a minute now.
I don't think so.
Sorry if I just get in there for a shot. Yeah, is that okay? Yeah. I won't be in your way if I'm over there, would I? Is that alright?
Well, what a pleasure to... My name is Hilary Benn. I'm the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. It's a great pleasure. Hello. Hello. What's your name? Oh, well, how lovely to meet you. We've been greatly looking forward. I've brought a guest with me. I understand the last time a Secretary of State came here, you got him upstairs painting one of your rooms. So I don't know, Gay, what you have in mind for us this afternoon. I just want to say it's such a pleasure to be here in Lisbon, for us, both of us, to come and see and learn more about the work you're doing. I had a look at your report as we were driving here in the car, and two things that your service users said really struck me. One said, at Atlas, all generations learn, support and encourage each other. And the other quote was, without Atlas and the Atlas creche, I wouldn't be the parent I am today. Now, when I read both of those things, I thought, well, this is a place that clearly changes people's lives, and we want to thank you for what you're doing. But now to the most important person, the Prime Minister. Yes.
Thank you, Hilary, and it's really lovely to be here, and thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And I'm really looking forward to having the opportunity to chat to you and take your questions in just a moment and get a real sense of what you do here. It is fantastic for me to be in Northern Ireland. I love Northern Ireland. As some of you may know, I worked here for 5 years, implementing part of the Good Friday Agreement in relation to policing. And it was a really fantastic 5 years, transformational for me in terms of the change that we were able to bring about. But mainly because I just fell in love with all the people in Northern Ireland, such warmth and generosity, and so much so that when I got married to Vic, my wife, just after we got married, I brought her here because I wanted her to see the place where I'd been working, the people I'd been talking about, and the place I said I love so much. So we came in, flew to Belfast, got a little car, and then drove round the whole of the island of Ireland. Took us 3 weeks, and got out and finished at Dublin and back to the UK, and it's really fantastic. And so I always love being here in Northern Ireland. We've been here today meeting political leaders this morning, as you would expect, but also I really want to come here as well to get a sense from you what's on your mind, what's uppermost. And I know that for a lot of people, the conflict in Iran is going to be a real cause for concern. People are beginning to think, well, you know, where's it going? Is it going to escalate? How long is it going to go on for? And I think increasingly this week, asking the question, is it going to impact me? Is it going to be something that's felt in my household, in my family, going to affect my children? And in particular, I think at the moment, the question of the cost of living and will it impact my ability to pay my bills? And the cost of living, I'm still conscious that whatever's going on in the world, and there is lots, what's ever going on in politics, and there is lots, for most people, they'd say, look, actually having decent living standards, being able to pay the bill is the single most important issue. And I really get that, because when I was growing up, we didn't have enough money to pay the bills. So I literally had to sit in the kitchen with my parents as we went through the bills, and the worry that people have about the bills that they can't pay. And it is an anxiety. It's not an anxiety that is just there when you're staring at the bill. It's an anxiety that there's all month, because you know very well that there's going to be bills coming that you can't pay. So I acutely get how hard this is for people. And it's a reminder, really, for me, because, you know, in the end, there's politics and there's personal. It's a reminder for me as who I'm fighting for and what I'm fighting for. And I'm fighting for all those people that I have in my mind's eye who have that anxiety, have that worry as to whether they can make ends meet, whether their living standards will go up, whether they can do a bit more of the stuff they really want to do with themselves and their children that they can't afford to do at the moment. And that's why some of the measures we've been able to do as a government, we've done with those people in our mind's eye. So this year, in just a month or so, the living wage, minimum wages will go up. Now that is a statistic, but it's not just a statistic. It's something meaningful. It means that for quite a lot of people in Northern Ireland, about 140,000 have more money in their pocket. And that translates into a lowering of the anxiety about the bills, perhaps being able to do something that might not otherwise have been possible. So really, really important we understand why that makes a difference. We're also lifting the two-child cap on benefits, which means that for many families, they will have more money and we will be able to bring down and eradicate child poverty. And one of the things that I believe in profoundly is the idea that every single child, whoever they are, and all those in this room included, should be able to go as far as their talent or ability will take them. For me, it doesn't matter what they want to do. I wouldn't be prescriptive. Lots of children will do different things, but go as far as their talent and ability will let them go. I don't think it's possible, if you're growing up in poverty, to be able to go as far as your talent and ability will take you. And therefore, by making that change, we're making a real change for so many families and so many children who, until now, have had to grow up in poverty. And we can lift them out of poverty. And for me, that's a really deeply personal commitment in relation to not really the cost of living, but the lives of children for many, many years to come. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on the thing which will be on a lot of your minds in relation to the conflict in Iran. And that is, you will be watching what's happening with oil prices. And for many people, particularly here in Northern Ireland, over about 2/3, I think, many people use oil for their heating at home. And probably many of you do as well. And you will be aware of the impact, therefore, that this could have, may already have started to have on you. Wanted to reassure you in relation to that. We've been talking to the political parties this morning. At the budget last year, we as a government set aside money to take money off people's bills for every household. The discussions we've been having this morning as to how do we, that money is made available, how do we make sure that translates as quickly as possible into money coming off your bills and the bills of other people across Northern Ireland. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I've asked the Treasury Minister to talk to the executive here about particularly the heating, oil-based heating in homes, and how we can coordinate our response to this because of the prices increasing because of Iran, and get our arms around that. Then the other thing I'm worried about, I know I'm nearly finished. The other thing I'm worried about is that you know, some people are getting ripped off in the costs of the oil to heat their houses, and we've got to bear down on any ripping off at all. And so we're bearing down on that. So we'll do all that we can in relation to this. I am acutely aware that the cost of living is the single most important issue, probably for all of you, for many, many people across Northern Ireland. And that's the thing that I focus on. So whether it's global conflict, where of course we've got to play our part alongside other international leaders to try and de-escalate the situation. But for me, it always translates into what's the impact this going to have in every household in Northern Ireland, every household across the United Kingdom. So I now really look forward to talking to you and hearing from you. I'm going to take some questions, and then I'm going to come and sit with you on your tables and have a cup of tea. And I want you to tell me what's on your mind, because it's really important that I take away from this what you're thinking about, what's worrying you, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. So we'll do a bit of that as well. And we'll talk to the children as well. But let's just take a few questions before I make.
Yes,
please.
Absolutely. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Prime Minister, and welcome to Atlas Women's Centre.
Thank you for having me here.
You're in a very special place today.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what more can the government do to support community organisations helping families manage the cost of living crisis?
Well, we must support community organisations helping families with cost of living, because that's where it starts. It's got to be a sort of bottom. The government needs to come up alongside those community-based organisations, so that the government isn't sort of sitting there allocating pots of money, but actually recognises what you do, how you do it, and then works with you to support what you're doing. And we're doing everything we can to do that. And thank you for what you do here, because it makes such a difference to the lives of so many people. You know, these examples are incredibly important examples of support that goes in. They also speak to something really important to me in politics. In politics, too many politicians try to divide people, try to find points of difference. And I think that community-based projects and centres like this show that actually, for most people, if they get the chance to support somebody else, they will take that chance. And so we need to come up alongside and give you maximum support, and we will. Thank you. Let's take another question. Is there anybody? Yes, please.
Hello, Prime Minister. So obviously women's centres like Atlas provide that vital early support before problems worsen for a lot of women.
Yeah.
Are you and your government investing in preventative services like women's centres?
Yes, and I think preventative is so important, because you know, of course we can and we must deal with problems when they arise. We absolutely must. But so much better if we can get in early and stop or mitigate those problems in the first place. And this is something across community centres. It needs to be something we do across all parts of government, frankly, whether that's health, mental health, work. What is it that we can do to prevent the problem starting in the first place? Otherwise, you're forever chasing the problem when it's actually materialised. So I'll be really interested in a moment to talk to you more about what the preventative measures are that you're doing here, so we can then learn from that and take that elsewhere. But I'm a big believer in preventative measures. So much better, you know, for the individual not to get into the difficulty in the first place. Where that's possible, I'm not pretending there's a silver bullet here. Of course there's going to be difficult issues, but the more we can reduce that and support people, the better. That requires early intervention. The earlier, normally, the better, in terms of dealing with preventative measures. So thank you very much. Let's take one more. Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, a lot of women find it difficult to get into employment and education because of childcare issues.
Yeah.
So what can the government do better to support community childcare settings so women can get back to work or study?
I think there are two issues here. One is putting in the funding for childcare. I think childcare is so important. Nobody in this room is going to need me to persuade them. But for women who want to get back into work, hugely important, because it allows the space to get back into it and actually to earn some more money, and that goes to the cost of living issue. That's why in England we've got free childcare now from 9 months to 4 years. I'm very supportive of those sorts of measures, because it allows parents and carers, but very often women, to get back into the workplace. The other thing why I care so much about childcare is this. I'm sick and tired of going to schools where children are aged 4 arriving, and there's a massive difference between those. Some of them are ready to learn, some of them are barely out of nappies, and that inequality then gets baked in for life. And therefore childcare, yes, is about parents and carers and women in particular being able to get back into work. It's also about children and making sure that age 4, when they get to school, they're all on an equal starting line in life, because if they're not on that equal starting line at the age of 4, everybody in this room will know, it takes so much more effort to try then to deal with the inequalities that are baked in afterwards. And sometimes it's impossible to deal with them. So on all those fronts, I'm really, really supportive. I'm now going to have a cup of tea with you and a chat and do some media in a minute and then have some more tea with you. So I'll give this back to Hilary.
And I'll give it back to someone else.
How are you getting on?
Come off whatever you're plugged.
We're organising a photograph for you. All right.
I would totally agree with that, and I've never been as tired as I was. Not being able to get any decent amount of sleep at any time. But also, what we learn very quickly that they're just so different. The reasons that you think you're bringing them up the same way, and yet their personalities that you do get just mix in a different way. And also, for us, the ability to, so when our son was born, our first one, I remember there was another person to make big up because she stayed overnight, and then we had one of the babysitters in the car, she did. I'm trying to get a minute, it must take me about 40 minutes. Have I done it properly? I've double-clicked that, I've double-clicked it. And then we sort of, everyone distracted, then we sort of said something from home, and I'm going about 4 miles an hour, almost on the pavement. By the time our girl was born, like 2 or 3 years old, so I picked her up from the hospital, chucked her in the back of the car, and off we went. But it is very hard. So you started here straight away, did you? Yeah. So you're now working in the centre. Get where you're coming from. Provide the support, and also just questions that you don't quite know the answer to. Or is it free of problem? I'm really keen.
This will pick it up as well. Yeah. Yeah, use that microphone. We'll redo is. You guys ready to know the question? Would you mind bringing a mic guys ready? We might just need to do a sound check. 1 2 1 2 1 2 test 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 test 1 2 1 2 test. I think we might try and redo his lapel as well. Okay, and Sophie's got the mic for questions, yeah? Are you guys happy whenever... Who are we doing first? BBC? UTV first, okay.
Hiya. You alright? Do you want to forward a bit? Yeah. I don't know about that. I think we're trying to fix it.
Just give us a minute, guys, just to do the reset. Okay, so we'll be here. Okay, all good.
How are you? You look.
Yeah, I think if you come as close as possible.
That's great. Good morning.
We're going to do one question each, so we can start with
Yes, good afternoon, Prime Minister Paul Riley from UTV. Prime Minister, a lot of words from yourself today around home heating oil. I think people in this room and people across Northern Ireland want to see action. What are you planning to do rather than say? And what do you mean by a coordinated response from the Executive and the Treasury?
Yeah, let me acknowledge just how important this is for so many people in Northern Ireland, because about 2/3 of households are using oil as their heating, and therefore it is really important. Obviously the prices are fluctuating on a daily basis. The most important first thing is to coordinate with international leaders to de-escalate the situation. But for people in their households, obviously they need to know, well, in addition to that, what's happening in relation to me. The budget, we did set aside money for energy bills to take money off those bills. That money is there, and so what we're looking at now is how quickly can we work with others, because this is the decision of others, to translate that into money off bills here in Northern Ireland, particularly for those who've got oil-based heating, because they're the ones, I think, at the moment most acutely concerned. The Treasury Minister is going to coordinate with the Executive to see what we can do, because of course we need to react as quickly, as appropriately as possible in relation to this. And I'm really, really determined that where people are getting ripped off, we clamp down on this really early on, because the last thing we need in a situation like this is people paying over the odds because somebody else is actually ripping them off. So all of those things. But look, we are looking at this all of the time, because I do know how much of a concern it is, how anxious people are about the situation. And so I can assure you and everybody watching that this is absolutely on my radar, on my team's radar. I know how acutely important it is here, particularly in Northern Ireland.
BBC, tucked away.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Chris Page from the BBC. Can I ask you a question about a separate topic, if I may? The Leader of the Opposition has accused you of lying. She said that the release of the files yesterday shows that you knew the full extent of the relationship between Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein. What's your response to her?
Well, let me start where I must start, which is to accept, as I do, that I made a mistake in appointing Peter Mandelson. And let me follow that up swiftly, as I've done before, but I need to do it again, with an apology to the victims of Epstein for appointing Peter Mandelson. It was my mistake, and I take responsibility in relation to it. The release of the information shows what was known. That led to further questions being asked. Unfortunately, because of the Metropolitan Police investigation, we can't release that information yet. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it was me that made the mistake, and it's me that makes the apology to the victims of Epstein, and I do that.
Prime Minister, in terms of the real impact on people in Northern Ireland, one of the questions and something you've raised is the £81 million fund that's going to be made available for Northern Ireland. There's disagreement within the Assembly as to how that can be activated. The Minister for Economy is saying it's waiting for legislation from Westminster, and that is waiting, that it will be before the summer, but that the need is much more urgent. And Sinn Féin have said that your visit here has raised the expectation of concrete measures being outlined. What would they be?
Yeah, firstly on the question of the £81 million. Look, there are different views as to why that hasn't translated into money off bills yet. I see my job as just making sure that we do what we can to make sure that whatever needs to be done is done, to make sure that it is translated into money off bills as quickly as possible. And that's the basis of quite a number of discussions we've had this morning. So I'm not going to get drawn into who's right, who's wrong, because I think for people who are worried about their bills, I think they'd be saying just get on, work with others and make sure it does translate into money off my bills. The Treasury Minister will talk to the Executive about coordinating a response in relation to homes that are heated with oil, because it is a real cause for concern. Obviously, we've got to see this in the context of the conflict, and we're doing all that we can at the international leader level to de-escalate the situation, which is very much needed. You've seen the differentiation in prices only in the course of the last few days, so we have to de-escalate that, and we have to clamp down on any examples of people being ripped off here, because that's awful. At any time, it's particularly awful to see anybody being ripped off at this time. But this is not a situation where I'm saying to you this is all done and taken care of. The whole point in the Treasury Minister having those discussions is to get our arms around this, to coordinate the response, and to make sure that we are doing all that we can in relation to energy bills, particularly oil-based heating, which is such a concern here in Northern Ireland, but also on some of the other cost of living measures, because I think my strong judgment is that when people see the conflict in Iran, they are very worried about the international conflict, of course, but they're also worried about the impact it's going to have on them and their households and their family, and I absolutely get that.
Good afternoon. Prime Minister, you were quite strong in what you were saying about companies trying to make profit off the back of this war. Do you think that's been happening in Northern Ireland? Because you've heard about how much people are struggling here. And also, do you get a sense that the war in the Middle East is coming to a close or changing in any way?
Well, let me deal first with the question of people being ripped off. Look, there is a concern about it. It's been raised with me by a number of people. And it shouldn't be happening. And we need to look at regulation across the sector, frankly. But I'm concerned particularly if it's happening now, because there will be people who are filling up their tanks, who are having to pay bills this week, who are obviously paying more, and we cannot allow them to be ripped off. So it's really important that we bear down on that. In relation to the conflict in Iran, obviously our role, my role, is to work with other international leaders to try to de-escalate the situation, looking at what we can do in relation to the supply of oil, which of course is having an impact on the market, and that's what we're doing 24/7 in relation to the coordination, talking to allies, talking to those in the region, which I've been doing continually, and talking to other allies in the G7 and across Europe.
Prime Minister, in light of yesterday's High Court judgment, do you now believe it was a mistake and a waste of time and money to bring a prosecution against a member of NECAP?
Well, my views on NECAP are very well known in relation to what they stand for, what they say, which is completely intolerable. I think the CPS were obviously subject to the High Court decision, and they'll be looking at the judgment very carefully.
Prime Minister, you've spoken on this visit yet again for the need to reset the relationship between Britain and Ireland. Where does that relationship stand now? Do you think it has improved since you've taken office?
Yes, I do. And I think that's a view shared by a number of people. I wanted to ensure that we had better relations between Ireland and the UK. I thought the last government let it get to a place which wasn't beneficial to Ireland or to the United Kingdom. So I made it my business to try and reset that, to build a closer relationship. Of course, it doesn't mean that we agree on everything, but it means that we positively engage, constructively engage, to overcome any challenges, but also to take advantage of huge opportunities. We had the first UK-Ireland summit last year in Liverpool, which was a great success, and we looked, as I say, at the issues we had to resolve, but also where we felt there was real opportunities between our two countries to work more closely to the great benefit of both countries. We've now got the second summit coming up tomorrow, and we're going to look not just at the follow-up on where we got to last time, but how much further can we go this time? And so I was determined to reset that relationship. I genuinely feel it's in a better place. And most people who talk to me about this say it is in a better place. Pleased about that, but if you are in a better place, you've got to keep working at it and making it even better. And Hillary, you'll have a sense of this as well.
I think it's much, much better than it was with the last government. And it works, I think, to our mutual benefit, because we've got a lot of shared challenges, and working positively with your friends and your neighbours is in the interest of everyone.
Final question from the newsletter.
Prime Minister, you're talking about relations with the Republic. Obviously, you're heading there shortly. The Irish government is suing the country of which you are Prime Minister. I'm not aware of you having even criticised that, let alone hit back. And it's doing so over a conditional amnesty when a former Irish Justice Minister said that Ireland had operated a de facto amnesty for the IRA. And I think a lot of people in Northern Ireland would think that that was very obvious while British soldiers are being put in the dock. And I'm just wondering, is this an opportunity for your government finally to push back?
Well, I'm in the business of building constructive relations and solving problems, and that is the approach that I take to all the issues between the UK and Ireland. Of course there are issues between us, not as many issues as many people try to make out. Our job is to manage through those issues and come to a proper resolution rather than to escalate them. That's the base on which I've worked. That's why the UK-Ireland relationship is in a better place, and I'll continue in that vein. Hillary, do you want to add anything about that?
I would just say the conditional immunity scheme that was part of the last Legacy Act, as you know very well, had no support in Northern Ireland amongst any of the political parties or indeed victims and survivors. And we came into government, the Prime Minister gave a pledge when you were in opposition, you came to Queen's University Belfast and committed to repeal and replace that legislation. That is what we are doing, because what the last government put in place does not comply with our international obligations and doesn't have support in Northern Ireland. So how can you make progress on dealing with the legacy of the Troubles if you've got a system that doesn't have support here? It's important that people have trust and confidence in the new arrangements we're putting in place. We've made commitments, the Irish government has made commitments. We'll do our bit. I'm confident they will do theirs.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Prime Minister, Peter Mandelson left office in disgrace.
arrived yesterday evening and it was very nice.
I do Thailand as well. Thailand show. I do Thailand show and make people happy, and then I show me things I patient.
And he wants to get
How old's your children now? Right.
I'm still here from here. Like,
Yeah.
every time I've been here, they've gone
There's so much of that since people have stayed on.
You just want to give back because they've given so much to you.
Yeah,
So you want to try and help back.
Yeah, but that's great.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic.
It also gets you skills and stuff as well. You know,
Yeah.
I got more of an education out of Atlas than I did in school.
Also, if you come through, you know exactly what works and doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is really great.
Yeah, but you get so much. Like I've done way more courses, more qualifications than school.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Because we've got to get out of our head the idea that everybody does everything at school. School doesn't work for everyone. People don't come out of school with every qualification. They either could have got or want to get. And for many people, they get it in different paths later in life. What a good thing. Totally encouraging.
I say it's like a one-stop shop.
So do you do courses upstairs?
Yes,
Right. So that's your course?
Yeah, I have study seat before, and then Lauren
Lauren tells everybody to come to Atlas, don't you?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Lauren tells everybody to come to Atlas.
Got loads of people coming through the door. But were your children here as well? Is that
No, Lauren told me there was a position going, and I applied. And I was the perfect fit, so
How long have you been here? Right. You enjoying it?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I just
It's a great field trip.
it's nice to come to a job that you want to be at.
Yeah.
I want to be here.
It's nice to work in an environment where you want to be there.
Yeah.
And going to work is a
And it's rewarding as well.
I used to work McDonald's for 11 years, then I used to be teacher in Thailand.
Right.
And then I feel like why I spend McDonald's, I want to come to here or children to more grow up, like you study a beautiful thing, and then let them see them grow up, and then they can do things. I want to help and support as well. Why I here?
I get it. It's just all about growing in the centre and better.
But also really good for the young kids to have an environment where they're with others.
It's like when I asked,
Makes
when you said as well about, I can agree with you earlier about some kids just aren't ready by the time of 4. But Atlas, that's their main goal, is they're getting the kids ready.
I mean, that's what I've said so many times. To see children aged 4 arriving at school with different abilities already, just to do with the
Very
set up. Yeah, and then it's really hard to then try and close that gap afterwards. So if you could do this and make sure the gap never starts in the first place.
That's why it's brilliant. Like my youngest really tried.
This isn't just about looking after children at this age of the prep. It's about the future that they will have because of the opportunities and confidence and skills they get to last a lifetime.
And most of them are here every week. You know, they're here every week.
Yeah.
So they are not great. And their parents then.
Talking to each other.
It'd be great if you could put an Atlas in every home.
I know. He's funny.
You're getting tired, aren't you?
Like your friend. It's nice seeing the kids build wee relationships together, like especially the older ones now without having people have babies too.
So would they go from here to the same school, or does it depend on where they live?
Depends on where it's all postcode, brilliant. It depends on where your postcode is, so they do try to
You're definitely tired. I know. Having loads of comments in the fit.
I know, he's very good at doing it. Where did it go? Where did the truck go?
But also with the kids you get with cameras, they just stare at the
same job title, we work very closely together.
Nah, he was away. He was away, but just I don't know. No, well, I'll say to the newsroom when I'm bringing back the file side of things, put that on, or our lot can maybe clip it out before it goes on. I'll send it our traffic and get them in.